Good. You ready for this?
The
question is, am I ready for this? I think.
That is the question.
Yeah, right?
People get worried when Miss April sits by a microphone.
We'll see. I think it's going to be a very interesting chat.
Yes.
But today, good morning. I have the pleasure of having Miss April Vidal, who is a very interesting person in our community, gives back in so many ways. You've been doing this for how many years, Miss April? Like the whole dance process, the program that you have here in Murrieta. How many years have you been doing it now for? Like 30 years or something like that?
So in Murrieta, I've been teaching for 33 years.
33 years.
But total, I've been teaching for almost 43 years.
43 years.
Yes. Do the math.
No.
I'm old.
No. It's you're wise is what it is.
I like that.
Yes. But 43 years overall in just teaching people how the art of dancing. Is that correct?
Correct.
So dancing and we've had the blessing here in the city of Murrieta of having you for 33 of those 43 years.
Yes, and I also teach in Menifee.
In Menifee, okay.
Yes, and Menifee has been off and on for about 8 years.
Okay.
8 to 9 years.
But overall, always giving back to the community, teaching these programs. And it's all ages, right? I mean, you start with kids from as little as what, like 2-3 years old? Two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 years old. And I know that you also do like extracurricular activities with weddings and even teaching at Pechanga to, all types of folks out there. So I really just want to ask you, how did this become a passion for you? I mean, for 43 years doing this, it's definitely an art, right? And I've seen you, I've had the pleasure of actually dancing with you and it's super fun. And the energy that you bring, you're just such an interesting individual. And it's really just a blessing to be in your presence and get to know you a little bit better because, you're a bubbly person. You bring so much, again, positive energy to everybody that you meet, and it's just bring out the best in other people, and teaching them how to dance. Which, by the way, I don't. I know you've been listening to the podcast. I'm more of an introvert person.
Really?
Yeah. And this is a way, by the way, this is a way for me to actually put myself out there and get to talk to people in maybe a comfortable setting that allows me to actually get to know them a little bit better.
Right.
But dancing for me, you can ask my wife. That's one of the things that I shy away the most. And that day, I'll tell my story real quick.
Okay.
The way that we met.
Okay.
So I took my daughter Samantha to your dance class, and then I was the only dad that day on the class. And then you just saw me and came straight up to me and say, "I want you to be part of my dad dance group." And I was like, my goodness. And in front of all the moms and everything else, no pressure, but you kind of like sold it to me. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do something that I really don't, I'm really shy about. But again, you brought out the best in me. I am so glad that I was able to be a part of that dance group.
You were good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
And you were very easily persuaded. I love that.
I still blame my wife, and my wife is like, I didn't say anything. And she was like, I just took you there, and, she sold you on it. So if anything, it's your fault that you're in it. But I'm like, no, I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of that. And again, getting to know you that way and getting to be a part of something that's also for my child, right? It's such again, part of the programs that you have that connects family members even more so, because I'm telling you, that's dancing. It's something that I've never ever done, and now I'm so much more open to it because of that whole experience.
Oh, I'm so glad.
No, honestly,
that's great.
Honestly, but
that's great.
Enough about me. I really want to hear your story. Again, this is a space for you to be able to share whatever you want to share with the listeners, your experiences. Failures, things that you've learned, things that are successful for you, just the kind of your journey along the way, and that way we can really get to explore a little bit more about why it is that you do what you do, and why it is that you love it.
Well, interesting. You just said those two things in the same sentence, because the message I wanted to share with you, and I wasn't sure where I'd slip it in. I was actually thinking more in the end, but because you said that, my message in a rap would be, do what you love and love what you do. So that is what I've tried to follow my entire life. If you don't love it, don't do it. If you're doing it, and you don't love it, it just, the two have to mesh.
Yeah.
In my life anyway, I mean, I know a lot of people force themselves to do things, whether it be for a personal journey or an accomplishment or finances. But at the end of the day, if you go to bed and you're stressed out and you're upset and you might make big bucks, but if you're not happy, then what's it all about?
Yeah.
And I can assure you that what I do not make big bucks, but that's why I keep doing it, because it doesn't matter. I just really love it. And I have a very deep passion about seeing children succeed in anything they do and to walk away feeling happy. If they've come in, we don't know what goes through a child's mind during the day, no matter how old they are. Parents always talk about, they had a bad day and they're stressed out and this and that and all the different things they're being fed in society on a daily basis. But a child can't express what they're feeling. So for me, I love when a child walks in, any child, all children, and they come in, that's their safe space. That's their time to, have fun. And the whole time they're having fun, also learning how to be a team player in a group, learning how to take instruction from somebody they're not used to, being in an environment, a room that they've never been in, maybe, when they first join. There's a lot of different facets to the stimulation a child gets when they first show up into my class, your class, anybody's thing that they do, activity. It's a lot for to even a 17-year-old. We go through stages. Middle school, that is the funky age.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Kids. Middle school is the hard one where their parents will sign them up for dance and they didn't want to be there. Now it's my job to say, oh no, you're going to like it. I promise you. Okay, well, that's really hard to make a promise to a middle schooler and then make sure that they succeed. And I will be very transparent that there's a couple in 43 years that I did not accomplish that, but I did ask them to stay and at least finish the session.
Yeah.
And they did. And I said, now you have something to walk away and be proud about. You started something and you finished it. You don't have to love it. Not everybody does. It's okay. And to be able to be an adult and tell them that that's okay. Hopefully they remember that. Even though they don't stay with me, they have something to take away with, wow, that lady wasn't so bad. I didn't like what she did, but I liked who she was.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But as far as when I started and how this all came to be, so I started dance when I was 2.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
That was okay. So 2 years old, and
yes.
So it's basically you were since.
That's it. Yes, I've been dancing all my life. So, and actually, I've danced prior to that because my mom and dad have always told me that, back in the day when we didn't have disposable diapers,
right?
My mom said that she'd change my diaper, she'd pin on my cloth diaper, and she'd put on some of what we call very vintage shows, like My Three Sons, I Love Lucy.
Yes.
Father's Knows Best. There's
all
all
the
these
classics,
all these songs, Lassie.
Yes.
And she said whenever the music started on each of those shows,
Yeah.
I would be in my diaper and I would call that dirty dancing, if you will.
Oh my goodness. No,
Because you're dirty and you're
yeah.
dancing. I actually just made that up right now.
That's a good one.
But anyway, so that's how she saw that I had some rhythm and that I loved to dance. And that I think I can't really speak for my mom, but I believe that's what inspired my parents to start me in dance classes.
Yes.
And so I took dance for several years in West Covina at a place called Dancers Workshop.
Okay.
And then we moved. And when we moved, I never went to a studio. And I don't know if it's that maybe our family just got busy, but I don't remember ever asking to go back because I was so excited about moving and meeting new people and starting high school. And it just never happened. However, what did happen was I needed to be creative still. And in school, I did, my friends will tell you, I would take over. I would do the choreography for the cheerleaders, for the song leaders. I would help my teacher in dance production, which of course I joined dance in high school. Anything that needed choreography
Yes.
at the school, they'd say, "Oh, ask April. She's really good. Ask her. She loves to do it." So that's when I started realizing, okay, I have a little niche,
Yes.
but I didn't really know what I wanted to do, when I grew up. And so from that point, I was 17 when I graduated from high school. And my parents said, okay, it's time to get a job.
Right.
And I dabbled in a couple little jobs. I worked at Del Taco. I worked at the library where I got fired because I talked too much and I talked too loud. That was actually my first
I was
job.
gonna say I don't see you working at a
No.
library. You're
No.
you're very very loud
Yes.
in a good way.
Yes,
But yeah,
thank
that's
you.
definitely not
Yeah.
something I see you do.
No, I didn't even get it. I'm like, well, I have to talk to the clients. They're like, there's no clients here. They're just here to get a book.
Right.
Like, just leave the people alone, take your little cart, roll it down the aisle, and file your books in alphabetical order. That was my big job.
Yeah.
Well, that got so tedious and so boring for me that I started just taking, this is an M, I'm going to put it with the Z. Who's going to know? I was being watched. I had no idea, But meanwhile, I'm also talking to everybody. Yeah. I'm slipping, writing my phone number down for boys. I'm slipping it in their book. I mean, I was, doing all kinds of crazy things at the library. So I got fired. But That's okay, because when you speak about failures, you learn from those things.
Absolutely.
And so that's when I realized, I think that might have been a pivotal moment where I learned you can't be silly all the time. You have to have, and my parents respect was always big in our home. With my mom and dad, I would say I did disrespect them sometimes, but I had consequences for that. But by that time, after getting fired from the library, then I was like, oh, okay, this is the real world. Okay, it was a little eye opener. And then I got, the job at Del Taco, and I was a hostess. And everyone says, how are you a hostess? I said, a hostess has wonderful jobs. A hostess, you bring them their tray.
Yes.
You call out their number. You wash the toilets. You spray down the drive-through. And again, you get to go outside and talk to people.
Yes. Which, again, is part of
what I do.
Yeah, what
right.
you do.
And then from there, my parents sat me down and said, okay, here's the penny saver. Now, many people watching may not know what the penny saver is, but the penny saver was a magazine, your resource to getting a job. So we opened up the book, and literally the first thing that popped out was dance instructor needed.
Wow. It was
or
meant
wanted.
to be. Yeah, meant to be.
Right. So I got hired. I'll kind of shorten the story. I got hired, and I started working in the studio under the direction of, and I actually asked her if I may mention her name, and she said absolutely.
Nice.
Her stage name's very professional, did many different things in her life, but her name was Diane, or is Diane.
Oh, nice.
And she taught me everything there was to know about being in a studio, because I hadn't, done that. And one of the questions she asked me is, well, what studio are you coming from? And I said, where do you study dance? And I said, nowhere.
You're like life.
I said, I took when I was little. And she goes, what makes you think you can do this? I said, well, I did a lot of things in high school. And, here's my list of my references of all these teachers. And she thought that was, I think, a little odd. Like, I don't hire people just, to teach dance off the street kind of thing. But I don't know what she saw in me, but she hired me. And she said, all right, we'll give this a try. And from then, very shortly after, the Lions Club Recreation Department in Rancho Cucamonga contacted her and said, we would like to start a dance program here.
Nice.
Can your studio provide someone to come teach here, but under Olympic Studios, where the studio I worked at?
Yeah.
And she didn't have time for it. So the last person to be hired in the studio got put over there. And I felt like I was being demoted because I wasn't understanding. And I thought, oh, well, maybe everybody there, they're better than me. I'm not as good as she thought I was. I felt like maybe this was a punishment. I didn't really understand, and I wanted to be there in the studio.
Of course.
So she said, oh, no, you can still teach 1 or 2 classes here, but that's going to be your new baby. Well, that's your boss. You have to listen to her. And I think I went home and cried. I was very upset.
So you were upset because again, you felt in your mind going over there was kind of like just, well, I'm not being part of the studio now.
Correct.
It was kind of like they're just pushing me away. They still hired me, but they're pushing me away to go over there and
Right.
kind of like, but
Hide me.
hide you, right? But in reality, it was an actual opportunity. I'm sure that eventually, now in hindsight, you're probably like, it was like a huge
yes.
opportunity.
It was. And so what happened was she told me that she would help me, she would guide me, she would teach me, and she would support me and go and be with me as much as she could.
Yes.
That never happened because she was so busy.
Right.
And that's the whole reason she didn't do it herself. However, what I learned later from her was she actually did that on purpose because she looked at what I said in my interview
Yes.
about being in high school and doing all those things on my own.
Yes.
That I think she felt that, if she can do that, she can do this. It's no different.
So let me ask you something. I was going to ask you because you said, it was super odd for you to be mentioning teachers and all these things. Of course, being so young, not having that much experience, not working at a studio before, this being your first studio gig.
Right.
So did you ever go back and ask her, like, what was it that she saw in you that made her pick you?
Yes. In fact, we keep in touch even now. In fact, we're supposed to get together very soon.
Nice.
Very soon. She's going to come out here and visit, and I'm hoping maybe she'll watch this. I'm hoping she'll come visit, where I teach
Yes.
at the city.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yes, but I actually, in one of my recitals, she came out and watched, maybe 15 years ago, if I'm not exactly sure, but I dedicated one of my shows to her and presented her with a plaque.
Oh, wow.
And it was really, really cool. But I asked her that question. I said, do you remember why you ever did that to me?
Yeah.
I looked at it like, you did that to me.
Right.
And she's like, did that to you? But I don't remember an exact one conversation about it or the exact verbiage she used. However, I know she's had always said to me repetitively, I believe in you. You can do this. And her just saying that, really, it just has stuck with me even today.
Wow.
There's three people that got me where I am today with dance. It's my mom, my dad, and Diane.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is no other, really. I mean, I could add to that and say all the people in high school that trusted me to do things. But I think a lot of that I worked on because I was running around saying, even if they didn't want me, I did it anyway.
Right.
Came out good, But yeah, so then I started teaching there, and I'll never forget the very first dance I ever choreographed at Lions Club Recreation was to a group. Now, remember, I'm 17.
Yes.
Still hadn't had my 18th birthday because I graduated in probably June.
Okay.
And I was 17, and my birthday wasn't till September.
Oh, okay.
So in that time, from June to September, I started working at a studio and took over starting this program for my boss.
Yeah.
And so the first song I ever choreographed there were to, I think they were aged 10 to 14 maybe.
Okay.
And I was only 17.
Yeah.
Right. And they're my students, and it was Our Lips Are Sealed. And I remember there was like something like this and, like this. I don't even know, but it was super fun, super basic. I wish I would have a video of that.
Right.
That would have been awesome.
But do you think there was more of a connection because you guys were such, even though, there were 10 to 14.
Yes.
If you were 17, I'm sure there was more of a connection having the instructor, the teacher being, close in age.
Yes.
So
Well,
there was some commonality there.
yes. And it was fun. And I am pretty good, even when I was younger, I think just taking authority, making it known I'm the teacher, you're the student.
Oh, yeah.
Without actually saying that. But you have to be careful too, because you want to make sure that there's not a lack of respect.
Correct.
Because there's too much commonality. And so that, but it was super fun. It was a great time in my life. Funny story really quick. Our department, our park and rec department, if you'd ever known about their gymnastic program.
Yes.
Okay, so it started off under the direction of Cindy Angevine.
Okay.
She's going to kill me for doing this. I didn't even ask, but she's going to love this. Anyway, we're still friends today. Cindy was one of my students in something that I had helped choreograph at Olympic Studios.
Okay.
Okay, so she's much younger than me.
Yes.
But when she moved to Murrieta, she kept hearing about Miss April at her child's preschool. Well, that's because my children went to that preschool, and she asked the teacher there, I keep hearing about this Miss April. She goes, I used to know a Miss April, but I was little.
Yeah.
And she was my teacher in Rancho Cucamonga. And the teacher at the preschool said, well, what kind of teacher? She said, dance teacher. And she said, well, Miss April teaches dance. And she comes here sometimes and works with the kids. And she said, no. She said, yes. She said, no. She said, yes. Anyway, our children went to school on different days. Her children, I think, went on Tuesday and Thursday, and mine went Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
So she came one day just to meet me on a different day.
Yeah.
To see who I was. Lo and behold, I was her teacher. Then she came to study some of my classes.
Yeah.
And then I helped her get a job at the city teaching gymnastics.
Yeah.
Because her main goal was, or her main activity growing up was gymnastics, but her parents let her go take just a couple of dance classes.
Of course.
So we got her in the door. So that was how our gymnastics program started.
Wow.
As well. It's no longer there, but we're still friends. So
But it's a cool
that's
story
great.
because a prior student of yours, then you're able to kind of,
Right.
help her and,
Right.
and kind of like bring her into something that she loves to do, right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
So you are 17, you take over the Rancho Cucamonga Lions Club, the dancing
Right.
Department. How long were you in charge of that department before you actually moved out here to this area? Or what happens after that? After that?
Okay, so after that, I started branching out. Was in college, right up the street at Chaffee College.
Yeah.
And so I was going there. I was teaching dance on the weekends. I was working at Music Plus. Somewhere in between there, after I graduated from college, I was then a dental assistant. And so, excuse me, I was the dancing dental assistant.
Yeah.
Then I found out that I was allergic to latex. So I had to quit my job doing that years later.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole nother story behind that we probably don't even have time for.
Right.
But excuse me. So what happened from there is then I met my husband, Daryl, and then he was teaching and taking karate at Chino Park and Rec.
Nice.
So now I hear this and I'm like, oh, I'd like to teach dance and start another program. So now I moved from Rancho Park and Rec down to Chino, and actually we got married, I got pregnant, all that kind of stuff. So somewhere in there, I can't remember when I left Olympic Studios, but then I started Chino Park and Rec dance and cheer program.
Okay.
So then Daryl and I met after, during college, we were in a class together. A year later, started dating. Now we're both at the same park and rec department.
Yeah.
And then we get married, and I have my first child, Justin. And then I have my second child, Bradley. And at 2 years old and 2 months old, Daryl got a job in San Diego. So we had to move to Murrieta.
Gotcha.
From that point, 2 weeks after moving into our home, I started passing out flyers in the neighborhood. I'm a dance teacher. Come take dance with me in my garage.
Wow, really?
Yes. So that's how we started teaching in Murrieta. And Daryl started taking on people in the garage, teaching them karate as well.
How crazy. So you guys moved out here. Of course, he had the job in San Diego. Was he still with Parks and Rec in San Diego or something similar to that? Or was it just something completely different?
No, that this was, he's primarily taught martial arts in the evenings.
Gotcha.
Because he has a day job.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys move out here to the area. You start passing out flyers. You guys both start teaching from your garage. And again, you have Justin and Brad at this point already,
Yes.
right? Like you guys are already
Yes.
starting your family. Everything's
Correct.
going along. So I honestly thought in my head, I'm like, oh, you guys moved out here and you probably just applied for the Murrieta, Parks and Rec and everything. So,
No.
so how does that go then?
Okay. So we were not, I think it's above the freeway,
Yes.
the 15.
Yes.
We were not incorporated yet as a city.
Gotcha.
So our park and rec department that hadn't actually started yet was called CSA 143.
Okay.
Okay, so when people say, "Where do you work?" Oh, CSA 143. What the heck is that?
Right.
I say, and I would always say, "I don't know," but that's what they tell me. So yeah, that's where I get my check.
Yeah.
You know, and so I decided to do some reaching out, and I went to our then city hall, I think, and said, "What do you guys do for fun around here? What do the
Right.
kids do? Do you have a park and rec?" "No, we don't have one yet." "Oh, okay. Well, let's start one." And I told him my background.
Yeah.
And I actually got Daryl his job first. And I got him linked in because I was still with the babies.
Yes.
And so then I followed like 4 or 5 months later. And we were the very first teachers for our Murrieta Park and Rec
So
department.
you basically created the department by, like you helped create the department.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. What happened was, being the first teachers, we set the tone for sessions
Yes.
rather than being year round. The fact that it would be really nice if the children's schedules would be based around the school district schedules, which got really tricky, by the way, because
Right.
for a time there, years ago, I don't know if any of the viewers, how long, they'd lived in Murrieta maybe. But if you remember track schooling,
No, I
okay,
don't.
track A, because you're a baby. There was track A, B, C, and D, depending on which track you were on, is when you went to school. Very confusing. And sometimes siblings would get different tracks, and we'd have to
Oh,
contact
Lord.
the school.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I think they have something similar now because I know but they only have two, like Sebastian, my 6-year-old.
Okay.
Last year for kinder, he had to, there was an like 8 something class and then a 10 o'clock class.
Okay.
And so, but there was only 2 of them. So you only
Right.
had two options.
Okay.
So I guess it's something similar to that, I guess. But having A, B, C, and D,
Yes.
that's a lot.
Well, the way that worked is you didn't go to school at all if it wasn't your track. Right. So that's your vacation. So you'd have to take a vacation whenever your track wasn't
my
in school.
God.
Right. So it's very, very wild, very
Wow.
wild. But my point is that trying to teach class and then parents saying, "Well, we can't because we're on beat track and we're going to be gone the month of February."
Gotcha.
And you're like, okay, well, things got really wild back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Right. So, but I still, kept continuing to teach, had 2 more babies, kept continuing to teach through all that. I was doing leaps when I was pregnant with my other 2.
Are you serious?
Yes. Doing leaps and jumps and skips. Well, you got to remember I was much younger too, much younger. Right.
Wow.
But a lot of fun. I just never stopped. And we worked out our schedules. My husband and I, I taught on Monday and Tuesday, or teach on Monday and Tuesday, and he teaches on Tuesday and Thursday.
Yes.
Right. He goes to work in the day and I'm home with all my babies. But I'm not a stay-home mom necessarily because I have a job.
Right.
Right. I give him, prepare the dinner, get everything ready. Then he would come home from work. I would eat my dinner very early and then I would leave and then he'd be home with the babies.
Right.
And then Tuesdays was a little tricky. I don't remember what we did or how we did it, but we managed.
Yeah.
Because we both worked on Tuesdays. But it's just never changed because it worked and it works. And our children, we were always with our kids. All 4 of our children took dance with me. All 4 of our children took karate from Daryl. 2 of our kids became black belts. The other 2 taught for me. And so it's just always been ingrained and part of our life and our family.
Yes.
And we love being part of the community. We absolutely love it. I do a lot of, did I just say do? I did. I
You
said
did.
do.
You do.
I do. I do give back to the community by using the art of dance to bring happiness to different groups of people for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
I volunteer for a few nonprofits. Currently, I'm volunteering doing a special secret project that will be happening tomorrow night. By the time people watch this, it will be over.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something for a small group of women at Michelle's Place Cancer Resource Center.
Oh, wow.
I'm also doing a secret something for MilVet, which is our military veterans. That's another nonprofit. And also when you were mentioning Pachanga,
Yes.
I do. This is, I've just done my third year or fourth year, going and teaching a little dance and stretch for women's. It's the Women's Health Expo every
Nice.
year, and so the idea behind that is if it's a health expo and we're listening to all these people speak about women's health and the different things we need to know, and every year they have a different topic, a different speaker, or several speakers. We're sitting there for a long time, so we need to get up and get our hearts pumping.
Yeah.
So I kind of come walking in the middle of everything, drop your forks, lunchtime stops right here,
Yeah.
get up, Miss April's on stage, and I do a little 15-minute, gig, and they love it. And they got their heart pumping,
Right.
stretch their body, and they sit down and then they continue with their speakers. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I do all kinds of fun, nutty, crazy things.
So, and by the way, how many women are there in that session for Pachanga? Because it's a lot, right?
Oh, yes. And actually, there's a few men that have been sneaking in the last couple of years, which is
Nice.
really cool.
Yeah.
But that is between 5, I think, and 600
Oh, my
in
God.
the
That's
building.
that's a
And they have
large group.
vendors, and they have the whole room is filled. I think it's like 10 people to a table, and it's filled.
Yeah.
It's huge. So
Wow.
it's really exciting and fun. And I love doing that for people.
So giving back to the community through these nonprofits, all these things, I mean, it's the time that you put into the community. And I don't know if, I'm sure people realize, because I again, going through the experience of meeting you and having my child go through your classes and seeing the program that you've built and everything that Murrieta appreciates you. I mean, at the last concert or the last recital, I don't know what you call it, last show.
Recital?
Yeah.
That you started.
That I was there for. I mean, having the mayor of the city come in, the councilwoman be there and show the appreciation. I don't think I had ever seen anything like that before, and it just shows how the community really knows what you're doing out there, right? Because it is your time, it is your effort that you're giving back to not only to the children, but to, again, all ages, right? Like all
Right.
these different things that you're doing. So thank you for that, because it's not a lot of people that get to do that or that do it from the bottom of their heart. But it's just something. It just shows the type of human being that you are, which you're an amazing person.
Aw, thank you.
No, of course, you're welcome. And then one thing that I do want to kind of talk about, which is kind of,
Uh-oh.
it's funny. No.
You're already smiling.
I picked it up because you're like, you were mentioning again, right, with going back to you and Daryl, having all these different schedules and stuff like that. Talk
Right.
about choreography. I mean, really, think about it. It's like you're still in your life. You guys are having some type of choreography to
a big
make sure.
word.
Yeah, no kidding. Say it the past 3 times, right?
Right.
But you guys are all the schedules, everything that has to go into it. I mean, I can only imagine, especially with like what you were mentioning, track A, B, C, D, all these things, and then trying to run the programs. It's embedded in your life, right? I mean, it's just part of your lives, and it's something that you're so good at. Which, by the way, leads me to the next point.
Uh-oh.
It's a good one.
Okay.
So we were talking, and I think I asked Justin, and then I asked you about it. But I asked Justin, and I was like, "Hey, so how long does your mom work on these choreographies? Like, what's the process?" I'm sure she goes through like hours of just trying to organize, like the moves and the dance moves, the routines, and all these things. I'm like, there's so many of them that she's organizing, and he's like, "Oh no, man, it takes her like 30 minutes maybe, or like 45 minutes, under an hour for sure." The other day I went to visit her, and we were, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing a choreography." Okay. By the time I was like leaving 45 minutes later, she was like, "I'm done." And I was in shock. Because to me, it seemed, again, how can you organize? And by the way, your memory, may I say that? You remember all the kids' names.
That's important to me.
So, but it's the retention that you have, because I noticed that it's not that you treat, like kid, move over here, or like boy, girl, move over there.
Right.
You know them by name. You ask them their name. You know them by name. I also noticed that with the dads, you took the time to ask each one of us our names, and then you remember that. I didn't even remember the guys' names, even though after 3 sessions, and then eventually it started but you remember all these details. So can we peek a little bit into your mind and see how do you make that work? Because it's a lot. Your mind it's so powerful in the sense that you retain all this information, and it means so much. Like you calling me by name, it makes it so much more personable. For my experience that I'm going, for, again, the whole dance thing that we were doing, it was such an amazing experience just because of that little detail that means so much.
That's interesting because most people do not want to know about my mind.
No, I do.
They're like, she's crazy.
I'm super interested.
Thank you. I'm being silly. But yeah, I'm glad you asked that because in all the interviews or all the situations, either networking or people thanking me for things, various reasons in my business, I don't know that anybody has ever asked me that question.
Okay.
People have commented and said, wow, that's a lot of work. Or, wow, I'm amazed when I see you stand in the audience guiding people how you know your dances and your instructor's dances. And this last one with the actual instructors, the teachers' choreography and the dad dance. And so people have commented on that, but not the way you just did. Very, getting into the nitty gritty. I think that when we take it back to what I did in high school.
Yes.
That's when I started noticing this is really funky. Why can I just start? Okay, let's backtrack. Music plays.
Yes.
And the cuckoo bird starts and I see dance. So if I'm driving and I come to a stop sign and the music's playing, whatever it is, I'm like, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And people are looking at me like, what is going on in that car? I'm like, dance choreographer, bye.
Right.
But that's just what happens. It just turns on. When the music stops, it turns off. When any music turns on, it starts. I will tell you, I'm not a real big fan of country. Sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither am I.
Right, I'm not a big fan of it. However, I will tell you, whenever I hear country songs that have a quicker tempo, my first thing that always goes with that is tap. Okay, tap and country songs together are amazing.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I would have never even
start listening to a little bit of country. Some of the more, upbeat songs, not the slow, sad.
Right.
My wife left me. I'm drunk. I'm on the couch. Yeah, none of that. Not those sad songs. But that goes with tap. A lot of rock music. I instantly see jazz. Your slower Disney songs obviously are ballet and lyrical.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying is the minute I hear a song, it instantly brings me, okay, what genre is that? That's this. Okay, and what tap style or what dance style would that be? This. And it just starts going uncontrollably. And
You visualize it.
I do. When I'm sitting somewhere at dinner with my husband or friends or whatever, and there's music playing, my feet under the table, I'm like, okay. And then we go to the right and then here, and then we circle around. And I'm actually using my feet, not as dance steps, but where my body, like if I'm doing a turn, like if you look down, see how my foot's going around, that's me doing a turn. Right. And I'm thinking, your turn, and then you're going to leap, and then you're going to go over here. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't really explain why I do what I do, but I'll tell you, I think you definitely have to have a niche for it. I think any dance choreographer that listens to this will go,
They
because
understand.
we're all the same
Yeah.
in that respect. Yes. And what's really cool, I think, about choreography is you can have 5 choreographers play the song and ask them to show choreography, and it's going to be all completely different,
right?
Interpreted very different, but it comes from somewhere.
It's an art
here.
Yeah. It's definitely an art, and it's so funny. Not funny, but it's interesting that you mentioned how you visualize this, because when I was having to sit down with Justin for music for him, right? Again, he's so passionate about his music.
Yes.
The production of the music, putting things together and composing it, and then like picking this up. And it's funny, he also mentioned, I'm sure you listen to it in the car. He'll be listening to a song or just, be sitting in traffic, and all of a sudden he's like, starts singing and he's like, oh, that goes well together. And like, all these things come together and he visualizes a song even before he already takes, because I asked him, what is your process for music?
Right.
And he's like, I already visualize a song or start putting things together before I even go into production.
Exactly.
And it's just the way the mind works, because again, I think that's what makes you tick.
Right.
It's what makes you, it's just what makes you what your soul is full of, and it's really, really an amazing, it just comes from a place of love and happiness.
Well, I will tell you, speaking of Justin and music and myself and dance, Justin actually, for one of our tap numbers one time, we brought him in and he was down on the floor while the tappers tapped, played the music, but he also played the drums, because drumming, with the rhythmic and tap is spectacular. And so that was a really cool thing. We've done some collaboration over the years with that. So that's kind of a fun little tidbit with us. But I will tell you, with the whole dance thing and my shows and being part of the community, I could never do it without my family support.
Of course.
And having them all, Brad's the curtain boy, Niece's helping to instruct the junior instructors, Justin's in the dad dance, Shayna's my little cheerleader with her kids in the audience. In the past, my mom and dad have come and my mother-in-law have come to watch the shows. My neighbors from where I first started used to help me run everything backstage with the kids. I like to bring in everybody around me, so it just always feels like home. And I don't know if you realize or noticed all of the volunteers I had from that morning, starting from setup to my my photographer, who's an awesome friend of mine as well, to the 17 volunteers that came that night. From big support system, Murrieta Wildomar Chamber. Our two girls up front, Kimberly and Heather, they come every year. Them, and then I have, some of, I'm also an ambassador for the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber, which is something that is a passion of mine as well. Helping other small businesses and supporting them and collaborating. And it's a whole nother part of who I am and what I do. The chamber, I will tell you, has taught me a lot about business in the sense, you're never too old to learn, new things. And so I have their support. And then I also have, personal friends. And then I want to mention as well, my two mommies this last session, Megan Jones and Clarissa Arroyo, they know more about my business than me. They have been amazing. If I didn't have them, how am I going to help, measure all the kids and get the costumes and make sure everybody knows what they're doing. And then when we have a t-shirt session, where we don't order costumes, they help with that. I mean, they handle it all. And they always say, don't worry, Miss April, we have it under control. And then sometimes I forget how to let them do what I ask them to do. And I'm over there and they're like, Miss April, we have it. You go do your job. We've got it under control. So I'm a little bit of a micromanager.
Which is, it's a good thing, but I mean, your support system is amazing. It sounds like, and I saw it at work, like the whole thing for the show. I saw how it worked, and it's amazing how all these people come together, how you bring them all together for the community, how they want to help, how they want to support you. But it's because they believe in what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I think it's super important to have that type of support system coming all the way from family, city, chamber of commerce, like all these things. It's the way that you bring people together and that they, revolve around you, but because it's for a better cause, for a good cause, and it's for the future, for our children, right? And it's for all these things that are super important, and it's just really, really nice. I'm telling you, the turnout for the show was just amazing to see.
Thank you.
Honestly, it was such a beautiful turnout that it was full. Everybody was there, and everybody was just such a big part of it, from clapping, from enjoying the show, from cheering everybody on. It was my first time, but it was just emotionally, very satisfying to see how the community, like, it makes you believe again that the community, that people are, that we are all good, and that it's so nice to have a community like Murrieta, like for us to live in Murrieta, that just gets so involved with everybody else. Yes,
and thank you so much. Couple things, that building for me says hometown. It's small. It's big enough for a show.
Yeah.
And pre-COVID, we didn't have 3 shows. We had 1.
Okay.
So the room was packed. We had to stick to fire code. It was very, we were very careful and considerate to following the rules and those kinds of things. Then and we only did it once, and it was a 2.5-hour show with a 15 to 20 minute intermission. Excuse me. Then after COVID, or during COVID, I should say, when we got to come back for our very first show, that's when the city said, we're going to have to cut this because we can't have that many people in the building.
Yeah.
So following all the rules and so forth. So then I thought once that was over, that then I could go back to one big show. And they said, well, no, we're going to ask you to keep it the way it is. So for many reasons, I was very, disheartened because I like everyone to see every act, because part of that is, without me having to do anything, that is showing you where will your child go next. If they're 3 to 5, I would like to see the 7 to 9 age, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of see the other routines, hence why we do our DVD.
Gotcha.
So then you can see show 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
And the dads and the moms and the class dances don't have to be there for 3 shows.
3 shows, yeah.
Right. So that all was a little much. But what I found, whenever there's one door closes, another door opens, or if something negative happens, you have to find the positive in it. And I will tell you, while I was feeling quite negative about the situation, just because it's so much more work for me, we never had to do wristbands. I didn't have to worry about this. There's so many different facets to why I worry.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the things that really inspired me were the families, because the families would say, well, my child's only 3, and I'm so thankful we only have to be there for 6 or 7 acts.
Yeah.
And then we can go home. And my child got to be part of this and not be exhausted at the end.
Correct.
Parents not trying to hold their babies crying for 2.5 hours. The parents actually love it, that it's short and sweet.
Yeah.
And the duration, let's say you have siblings or one child in 3 different shows, that amount of time is still shorter total than the other way if we did the longer show.
Gotcha.
They don't mind.
So it ends up working out better.
It ends up working out better, and I'm okay with it. And so I've learned to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a little more work.
Yeah.
But I have great support, and there's always people to help me, and I need to reach out and say, yes, I need help.
Yeah.
And then there's always somebody there to help. But another thing that is very interesting to me is the fact that I never opened a studio, because so many people, even now, people will register, they'll do a session, and they'll say, so now where's your studio? And that always confuses me, because I'm like, well, do you think I would have time to do all this and still have a studio somewhere? People with studios don't have time to do park and rec. Like, that really confuses me sometimes.
Yeah.
But from the public eye, I guess I understand it, because they're thinking, how do you last so long doing what you're doing without a actual brick and mortar?
Right.
Right. So on that note, the city's been very supportive with me. I've watched it go through changes for 33 years.
Yeah.
I've danced in parking lots when doors weren't unlocked, because I've had to be shuffle around to different schools over, many years, for various reasons, different locations with construction, or maybe my class got more people than a building would hold. Maybe a janitor happened to be sick that day. It happens, and they couldn't open the multi-purpose room for a school, and we can't get a hold of anybody. So I'm like, all right, take off your ballet shoes and put on your tennis shoes, and we're going to use this car loop.
Improvisation.
And we're going to dance. We're going to dance in the park. It's been quite an evolution for me to go through this process. But I will say I'm very proud of my position in the community, because dance studio owners are so busy. And they have to, make a certain quota, first of all, to even the stress of keeping that studio open. That's their first priority. Otherwise, they can't do anything else, following. But but they also don't have time. And I don't think it's not that they don't want to.
Right.
We have great studio owners in this valley. I don't think it's not that they don't want to mingle with other studio owners. They don't have the time. So what I love is I get to mingle. I've put myself in a great position being in Park and Rec and deciding that we will never go to competitions. They all pretty much go to competitions.
Right.
So I get to go mingle with all the dance studios. And what I really, really love is I'm welcome when I show up. Miss April's here. They don't feel threatened. They know my intention is only to be kind and supportive. What can I do to help you? Let's talk a little bit about dance. And so that has been such a wonderful thing that, nobody talks poorly about each other. Everybody is light and happy. And I'm just lucky I make time to go and see what's going on in our dance world and our community.
That's so cool.
So,
honestly. So something that I did want to ask you, being a part of it, a part of the dad dance, right? And knowing that there is a mom dance as well later down in the year.
Yes.
I have to ask you, when did you start it and how did that get started?
Okay, so I'd always wanted to have parents dance in the show. Here and there, I would offer adult classes through my program. But the problem the difficulty with offering adults dance is that we have a lot of responsibilities. So there's a process before you can actually get the room, the location, get my paperwork approved. Once it's approved, now they have to put it in the book or make flyers or however the city is going to, the community services is going to allow me to advertise it. And so that takes time. So you'll get two ladies saying, "Oh, do you teach dance? I really want to learn tap." I said, "Oh, that's great. Do you have a group of ladies?" "Oh, yes, we've got friends and we'll let them know and we'll help you." "Okay, great. Let's do this." So I go through the process. I fill out my paperwork. I turn it in. They look for a location. Then they let me know this is okay. Then they turn in the paperwork for approval. Okay, that's good. All right, now we're going to advertise it. Okay, that takes a few months. Okay, we're good. We're now 6 months down the road, and the people that said they dance have either moved, gone through a divorce, had some change in their life, hurt their foot, there's bought tap shoes and can't find the other one. Whatever the excuses are, there's always something. And so you can't wait. When someone says that they're available now, right? But then with that, if that was ever an option, then I don't have the numbers. Right.
Oh,
so I can't just have a room and only have one person in there. Now I'm giving private lessons, and that's not financially, lucrative for me. And it's not fun for the participant because they want to be in a group. And that's the whole point, is to have fun, be a team, learn together, and also a lot of people, when they take classes like that as an adult, the reason is they're not getting out and they want to meet people. They don't, they want to get out of the walls of their house and, forgive me, get away from their children for a while.
Trust me.
Right.
I hear
right.
you.
And just have a little me time. Right. And so dance is a great way to have me time. However, it's very difficult, the time frame. So because that was always a struggle for me, that's where the idea came. You know what? If I just offer something and tie it in with my show, now I'm already there. And if there's a room available or a space available, or I can work this into the schedule, problem solved.
Right.
So I got really smart with that.
Yeah.
Well, financially, what I did though was give back. I decided, let's not make this a monetary issue. Let me still have adults in the show, but let me thank them for supporting my program.
Yeah.
So I would offer this free class. I said, I'm volunteering my time. As long as you commit, you know how I am with the commitment. As long as you commit, then I'm there for you. Well, that all went great until COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. After COVID hit, the city required me to have a certain number of people. I can't have less than 5 sign up before they'll actually allow me to teach. So I have to have 5 or more. And then we do have to charge a minimal fee so that now we have staff that can keep the doors open for us.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of how it started. And I would say I haven't done my homework, but I think it's been about 18 years, maybe 19 that I brought the parents in.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's been quite a while.
Yes, it's been going a long time. And it started off with the dad dance for many years. And then some of my parents that had been with me for a while, the moms got mad. They got very upset with me. Why do you only highlight the dads?
Yeah.
How come you don't do anything with the moms? And I was like, well, we can do that. And then there was one mom, a couple of moms actually, that said, why don't we do a dance battle, the moms against the dads? And I said, and who will watch the children? We can't do that. So we've never done the dance battle. But
it would be pretty interesting to watch.
It would, except the children would, I don't know where they'd go.
They run amok inside
That's right. Or out. They'd leave. They'd say, I don't know about these dancers, and they'd leave. But they'd ask for their money back. But no, so then we started with the moms. But I will tell you, mom dance and dad dance, what I learned really quick is moms don't want to be laughed at. They don't even like the concept laugh with.
Yeah.
They don't like the word laugh at all.
They want to shine.
That's right. Moms don't want to necessarily use props. Because they're so focused on shining that a prop is a distraction for them, right? So that's why the mom dance is just, I'm going to teach a series of dances with different music mixes that help them to have fun.
Yes.
But still learn something. Where dads love the laughter because dads don't want to take it too serious.
Right.
Where moms are like, okay, we are going to get our groove on, and what the moms and the dads always say to me is, well, I don't dance. It's so funny. Everybody always says, I don't dance. I don't know how to dance.
Until they do.
That's right. And I have not had one show where somebody looked like they didn't technically know how to dance.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, everybody, you can dance.
No,
there's no right or wrong.
No, that's so cool that you're mentioning it because it's so true. I'm telling you, I didn't like. I can't be. I think I'm gonna become an advocate for people that don't dance to dance. Move your feet.
Good.
Just shake a little.
Yes.
Have fun with it because it comes from I think a place of some people are shy in the sense of like they care about you care about what the other people are gonna think about you, right?
Right.
And it's like at some point in life, you grow up and you're like, who cares? Like, honestly, it's just about having fun. And if it makes you happy, well, why not do it?
Right. And, in the audience, what's funny, every single year, there's all those people that I talked to that decided not to sign up.
Yeah.
And afterwards are like, they don't say things like, oh, I could have done that. But what they say is, wow, they had so much fun. I wish I would have signed up.
And we did. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you a few things.
Okay.
The group that you had this year, such an amazing group.
Yes.
Such a diverse group. We had so much fun.
Yes.
I got to know those guys in a different, setting. And again, it was a relaxed setting, no kids, not having to worry about, kids running around, stuff like that. But we have so many things in common. One, aside from being parents, and we got to learn from each other. And I mean, that's how I met Justin, and then we kind of hit it off because we found out that we both have some sort of passion in music and, and I used to play instruments back in the day and all these things.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of where it started, but it was just a chat. But again, it's just meeting these folks alone. Just meeting them was so cool. It was such an opening experience to be in a different type of setting, something that makes me uncomfortable, but it made me feel successful at the end because I learned something new. I faced some, partly some of my fear, which was going on, not on stage. I've been on stage before, but like dancing on stage.
Right.
This is the first time I've ever done it, by the way, like dancing on stage. And then I gotta tell you, like that part the concept of you saying like, parents that maybe you've asked, and then they see what the end result is.
Right.
And then, they probably were like, yeah, I wish I would have actually done it, right? And that was the thing, I think, when you were trying to sell it to me, quote unquote sell.
Yes.
It was more like a voluntold, but like quote unquote sell. I thought to myself, do I really want to live with a what if? And I was
I
like,
love that.
I don't. Like at this point in my life, I think I've outgrown the fear of not wanting. I guess they call it fear of missing out. You know, but I just didn't want to do that. And I'm like, and then I can show something else to my kids because now I think about them a lot. You know, like how can they see me? And you know, them laughing at their dad. I think it's a really cool thing for them to remember.
Well, that was the whole point for mom and dad dance anyway.
Yeah.
The whole point is you're supporting your child in something they do in a very fun, light, happy way where they, you know, they're like, oh, you know, when you say, oh, I got to go to dance class, you know, because I like to keep it a surprise. Sometimes for parents, it's very hard. Number one, they're just too excited. Number two, if they're doing really well, then they sneak and they say, I'm sorry, I had to show my child what I was doing. I wanted them to see, you know, they're running it by their family. What do you think of this?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it's part of being involved in a program, and it's, you know, it's hometown, it's family, and we want everyone to participate. You know, sometimes when I teach classes, I think, didn't we just do this where I teach a class and I invite the parents to jump up at the end and dance with us?
So yeah, it was the first time we just did that earlier this week. One of the hip hop classes.
That's right.
And my goodness, I actually have video. My sister was taking video, so I will post it here. Maybe while we're talking about it, so people can actually see it.
Oh, I'd love that.
But no, it was again. You could have asked me a few months ago if I would have done that, but because of the experience that I had with you, I got up and I danced with my daughter.
Yay!
And I loved it. Yeah. And it actually like makes me emotional about it. Like it brings me a little tears to my eyes because it's something that I don't think I would have ever done before.
Oh, I'm so glad. No, you really are getting emotional.
It means a lot.
You're going to make me.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we're all crying.
it just is the way you touch people. You know,
thank you.
And again, you brought something new in me that I didn't know I had in me before, and it was through dancing, through the experience.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting emotional here, but
this is amazing.
I will tell you another thing.
You're gonna make me cry.
Sorry.
Like literally.
No, sorry.
Okay. You don't have mascara on. I do.
No, I don't. I will tell you this. The other side to it was every show.
Right.
After we came off stage, all the dads came off stage.
Right.
Maybe it was some of these dads that maybe you asked and they didn't do it.
Right.
You don't understand how many people came to us and told us, you guys were amazing.
Really?
You don't understand. It's like we had a fan, like if
fan club?
Yeah, like a fan club, like all ages too. There was some teenagers that were there and they came to me, they're like, bro, you were amazing out there. And I was like, really? Like, thanks, man.
That's
and
good.
You know, some other dads, some moms, you like kids. And it was just, again, it was not so much about did I make a fool of myself or did I not? It was just the experience and sharing that and having my daughter watch me.
Right.
Again, you know, these are memories that I think my kids are going to cherish for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And I got to stop because I think I'm going to continue getting emotional about it. But it just means so much. And I think it's again, just so you understand, it's the way that you touch people.
Oh, thank you.
And the values that you instill in these classes and the things that these kids learn from you is just, you know, it really is an amazing experience that you bring to the community and the way that you bring the community together.
Oh, my gosh, thank you. Well, see, to my children, see, mama's crazy, but there's good that comes from that.
So
I just made Eddie cry.
You did.
I'm so, and I'm getting teary too.
But
no,
also,
that's okay.
There's a first, you know.
I did the first. Yay!
But I will tell you this. I don't think the what you do for the community. Again, I just can't explain how valuable it is. It's more than it's the happiness that you bring to people's hearts. You can't buy that, you know. You really can't. And I really hope that you continue to do this for a very, very long time to come, because I think you will continue to touch people's hearts and continue to bring these experiences to people's lives.
Well, thank you. I don't know about the very long.
Hopefully.
Because I'm going to be 60 this year. So, yay! I don't know if we should clap about that.
Why
but anyway,
not? It's such a celebration. By the way,
I guess.
You don't look 60, first of all.
Thank you.
And you dance like a teenager.
Oh my gosh. Thanks.
You do. Oh my God.
With all my ailments, I got busted knees and my back.
You're still busting it out there for sure. So that's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, I'm sorry I made you cry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I kind of got emotional there, but
That's okay.
it truly means a lot. And, just to wrap it up, I think I would actually I don't know if there's anybody who watches this and who you would want to kind of like share the message of, because you're the definition of somebody who followed their passion,
Yes.
and not only that, but now your kids, because of the same, instinct that you had within you because of the way you were raised and everything that the experiences that you went through, your kids are following their passions.
Yes,
they are. They really are. And again, I have had Brad and Justin here, and they both share that passion with me as well. But for somebody who's looking to follow a passion, for somebody who's looking to maybe look into or not sure what they're doing, what is the message that you can share with them?
Well, what I had said at the very beginning is do what you love and love what you do. I think when you really look at what you're doing at this very moment, ask yourself that. Do I really love what I'm doing? And you have to take the dollar amount out of that equation. And also, you need to be true to yourself. Don't ever do anything in a business or a job, whether you're running the business or whether you're an employee for a business. Don't ever do anything that you're uncomfortable with. That is maybe something that you question. You can be uncomfortable with the sense that you're going to try something new to elevate your business or to, elevate maybe personal challenge. But if there's something that's uncomfortable that it just doesn't feel right for what you believe in, then you need to be able to stand up for yourself, and you need to, if it's you running the business, you need to just stay true to your ideas, your beliefs, your morals, your values. And when you do come up with an idea that you think is fabulous, then you need to give 100%. Go for it. Don't be afraid. Just try it. I mean, what is the absolute worst thing that's going to happen? It's not going to work out. And if it doesn't work out, then there's always going to be a new idea coming right back at you.
Yeah. And there's a lesson learned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as well, if it doesn't work out. But thank you so much for being a part of this, for sharing your experience. It's absolutely been an honor to be able to get to know you in this, at this level, and again, that people are going to be able to see this as well and hear your wisdom. But again, Ms. April, thank you so much for everything that you do for everybody here in the community. Keep doing what you're doing. I think we appreciate you so much, more than words can really describe, but thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. This looks so good. I think
I
think I might move in.
No.
You guys, this is great. This is a great place. It's all decorated, nice, very comfortable. I got my nice couch. I just chill here.
It's been
wonderful. Oh, it's been so great.
I'm
so great. And I just want to say to any of your viewers, this guy is amazing. He is kind. He is genuine. And this has been an absolute pleasure and a treat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. April.
Yes.